We ain't got one. Not yet, but we ain't got one coming up. I think number 8 or 9 the same way. ABC one has always did. They never get over. I think it's T. And real T. We got 5.
Yeah, I'm ready. Just get all myself organized so everybody's up here. Let's go. PO stuff. All right, let's get going. First item on the agenda, Mr. Pruitt, would you tell us what's going on? Item number 1.
Carry.
Sir?
Number 1, item number 1.
Hey, and I thought Terry from, no, this is good.
Yeah,
I am.
you just speak it, please.
Sir, I'm sorry.
Mike.
I talked to Terry at Levitate this week.
Yeah.
They have finally gotten everything they got from United Way, but they're going to have to give us a different resolution, and they're in the process of drawing it up. So, Charlie, what I want to do today is pull that off, and Terry said they will have the resolution for United Way next council meeting.
Okay. All right, thank you. Sounds good. Okay, item number 2, we'll have the review, public hearing on review board at 2. Item number 3 is a vote. We can carry that over.
Yes.
Number 4.
Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
Pro Tem was checking on some things for me. If he has fulfilled his obligation, I would like to take that off as well,
Okay.
Mr. President, but we can discuss it in regular session.
We need to let MPS take care of that deal.
Yeah, and that's what we talked with the superintendent about what they're gonna do with the elementary school. It just don't make sense to me. It don't make good dollars to put a community center right there where they're gonna invest in. We just got to figure out the programs that we need to put in.
Exactly. All right.
Thank you for putting me to work, Mr. Mayor.
Number 5 is the review of that. Ms. Graham, you gonna have somebody here at 5 o'clock on number 5?
I sent letters, I sent emails, I've gotten no response.
No response.
I tried calling the numbers they had, it would not, the call would not go through. So I
Okay.
don't know if they'll be here or not.
Well, do they have bench license?
They do not, but they're like a club, so you don't have to have a business license for social.
A social club?
Yeah, so
And not one of those event centers, right?
it's not an event center, it's a club.
Yeah.
What number?
Number 5. All right, number 6. Just number 5.
Yes, Mr. President, I spoke with them, I went and looked at it, I think they got some, I'm okay with it.
You okay? All right, number 7. How about that, CC?
I'm fine with it.
Okay.
It's a,
Number 8. Number 8. Clay,
I'm good with it.
okay. Number 9. Marche, where you be?
Right here behind you.
You okay with this one?
Yes.
Number 9,
Yes.
okay. Number 10, Glenn,
I'm okay, but I do want to understand, and Rondé brought something up to my attention. Class 1, is that on and off premise?
They can sell to go. As long as the container, it stays closed, they can sell to go. It's always been that way.
Okay.
no change.
Yeah, I don't want that. I want to make sure I understand what they're trying to do.
Who determines which class they fall under? Is that the ABC board?
Yes, ma'am.
They determine that, I guess, by what they tell the
But
ABC
they
board
make
that they want to
application.
do. I don't
Why don't you
want.
carry it over, Glenn?
But he can always put, Mr. President, I think, like I'm going to do, I'm going to put my stipulations on there, in Ms. Blaylock.
You could put a stipulation, the council could put a stipulation on there that they not sell
Okay,
bottles to go.
And I'm gonna do that. If they're not okay with that, then we'll figure it out from there.
all right, sounds like winner.
Yes.
Now, who's gonna monitor that? That's gonna be the question.
Number 11. Number 11, I'm okay with that. Been one here a long time. Number 12. Glenn, CC, number 12. Quick stop.
Yeah, I'm okay
Okay.
with that.
Okay. Number 13.
I'm okay with
That's
that.
white
What,
water
did we
down.
just do one of those though? I was trying to figure out why, is this a different one?
It's a liquor license.
This is your
Didn't we just do
white
that?
water deal.
You did,
May
it was
have been
something
some
about the
kind of,
land.
this is white water.
No, we did something else.
I'm okay with that, Charlie.
Okay.
No, did we just do one? Miss Blaylock, did we just do one?
For white water?
Not for Whitewater, no ma'am. We did for one for the new waterworks building. That
That's
may
what
be
it
what
was.
you're thinking of.
That's right.
That's right. yeah.
All right, 14. Go ahead.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, no, 14. Mark, say what you got?
I'm okay.
All right. We'll watch Mr. Pruitt, he'll get you. All right, number 15, Mental Health Authority. Number 15,
15's good, Charlie.
thank you, I appreciate that. All right, number 16, you good with all that there?
Yes, sir, I'm good.
All
with
right.
the- I'm good with the rest of the agenda.
Number 17 is clean it up, okay? Number 18, tear them down, 3 tear downs. Number 19 is your abatements, okay? That covered them all. Now let's see who we got who wants to talk to us. Give me 5, give me 5. All right. Mayor Reed had a PowerPoint on simple sales and use tax. What you know about that?
So much, Mr. President, but even though that my knowledge would be sufficient, our Chief Financial Officer, Betty
Okay.
Deville.
Here comes Betty. All right,
Betty.
Betty, come on, tell us what's going on. I have no idea what this is. It
Hi
says
there.
tax, it kind of
It's,
got my
mon-
ears
it's
up.
money related, Mr. President.
I
Of course,
see that.
I'm not
I
Mayor
kind of got my
Reed.
ears perked up too.
Anyway, Bob Taylor is going to be giving you some handouts that will be just like the PowerPoint that will be coming up shortly, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and get into this because the mayor wants you all to be aware of how simple sales and use tax collections are distributed amongst the 3 governments in the state of Alabama. That includes your state government, your county, and your municipal government. So let me begin by giving you some background information, identify the issues, and discuss the solutions for simple sales and use tax, which I'll be calling SSUT, that's the acronym for it, before starting a PowerPoint presentation. Back when e-commerce was a new way of doing business, the state of Alabama created a temporary workaround policy to collect sales taxes for online purchases. This plan allowed the state to collect the tax revenue and administer it to local governments. The plan was created for 2 reasons. First, the technology to accurately assess online sales taxes based on city and county locations simply did not exist at the time. And secondly, existing federal and state law wasn't clear on how to handle this new development. Because of the aforementioned reasons, the Alabama Department of Revenue, and we call it ADOR, and the legislature recommended a simple system to encourage online retailers to voluntarily participate in the state's online sales tax collection program. So, you're probably wondering, what is the issue? Well, the simple, was that you, Ms. Johnson? You are wondering what the issue is? Okay, well, I'm going to tell you here in a minute. The simple system had unintended outcomes or consequences. The system has done the following: overtaxed many of your rural citizens across the state who are now paying a higher sales tax rate than what was set by their local governments. And secondly, disadvantaged brick and mortar retailers now compete with online sellers who have a lower tax rate. And we'll get into a little bit more of that when we go through the PowerPoint presentation. In the time since that system was created, the simple system, 2 things have happened. New technology is now available to help businesses correctly assess the sales tax on a transaction. And also, the U.S. Supreme Court's 2018 Wayfair ruling showed that out-of-state sellers like Amazon were responsible for paying state and local taxes. Because of new technology and the Supreme Court's ruling, Alabama's system, which was the right approach when it was created, is now outdated. The ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court, in essence, would update Alabama's temporary workaround for online sales taxes to create a permanent plan with stability and clarity for local governments across the state. The legislation would do the following, and I have 6 items I've listed here. First, update existing policy to bring in line with modern technology, federal law, and the intent of the Alabama Constitution. Second, create a destination-based online sales tax system, which means that you pay sales tax from where you made your purchase. I'm in Alabama, I make online purchases, then I should be paying the sales tax that, is for Alabama. And here in this city, it's 10% at brick and mortar. Of course, online, everybody's paying 8%, okay? And so we'll get into that a little bit more here shortly. It would also lower taxes for many Alabama residents, especially those who live in rural and unincorporated communities where they may not pay a city sales tax of 3.5% like we do here. It could be lower, but because the online sales tax is 8%, they're required to pay 8%. Excuse me. Treat online sales tax revenue as sales tax revenue as opposed to general fund revenue. 5, create parity between online sellers and brick and mortar retailers, since both would be treated equally under the legislation. And then benefit school systems because they would receive additional funds due to accurate categorization of online sales taxes as sales. So let's go ahead and get started with the PowerPoint presentation. And you all have copies of that in front of you. And Mike is going to put it, Courtney, on the big screen up there for us. And so if you would, go to the next slide, please. And hopefully you all can read that from where you're sitting if you're in the audience. And right there it shows that consumers purchase goods and services within the state limits. Some items may be exempt from sales tax, such as your prescription drugs, gasoline, and your motor fuel. Most merchants, that's the second bullet there, not all collect sales tax on the goods sold, 10%, which is then remitted directly to the state of Alabama in our situation. In addition to state sales taxes, local governments, county and city level, can collect additional sales tax ranging from 4 to 7% on average. And for Montgomery County and the City of Montgomery, that total, if you're brick and mortar, it's a 6% collection in addition to the 4 that the state gets out of the 10%. So you can see there at the bottom of that slide, the total minimum combined sales tax rate for the City of Montgomery is 10%, and you see how it is broken out there. State 4%, city 3.5%, and then for the county 2.5%. Next slide, please. And you all can just kind of read along with me as we go through these items here. Sales to customers in Alabama are only subject to sales tax if the seller has a significant presence or what they call a nexus in the state. Legislative Act 2015-448, the Simplified Seller Use Tax Remittance Act, or SSUT, allows eligible sellers to participate in a program to collect, report, and remit an 8% seller's use tax on all sales made into Alabama derived from online sales. An eligible seller is defined as one that sells tangible personal property or services into Alabama but does not have a physical presence in the state of Alabama and who is not otherwise required by the Code of Alabama to collect tax on sales made into the state. Satisfying the economic nexus rule, as of October 1, 2018, the SSUT program serves as a simplified means for out-of-state sellers with sales in excess of $250,000, and this is based on their previous year's sales, to collect and remit taxes for all Alabama jurisdictions. If they choose not to use the SSUT program, they can satisfy the collection and remittance requirement through the traditional sales and use tax regime. Next slide, please. So here we have listed some of the pros and cons, okay, of the program. Beginning with the pros, the first item listed there, it addresses short-term undue burden and attracts more out-of-state companies due to preferential SSUT rates. SSUT tax as a con at 8% versus 10% for brick and mortar stores with physical presence in state. This translates to revenue loss for municipalities. And I've got a graph here that will show you that in a minute. And not to take up too much more of the time, because I know there are others that are going to follow me, you all have those copies of the slides there in front of you. You know, it goes in talking about how much the state get of the 8% online sales, which is going to be 4 cents to the dollar. They're still made whole, whereas your city and your counties are not. And it tells you there that of the 50% that the state gets, 75% of it goes into the general fund and the 25% goes into the education trust fund. The remaining 50% of that 8% goes to the city and counties. And here in Montgomery, the city is getting 60% of that, which is 2.4 cents on a dollar, okay? Which is less than your 3.5 cents that's collected at your brick and mortar retailers. And of course, the county gets the difference between the 4 cents and the 2.6, which leaves 1.6. And that means that they are getting less because their brick and mortar retailers actually collects 2.5 cents, okay, on the dollar. So you all can look at that further if you would like. The next slide, it just kind of gives you the chronological order of how things have happened when the simple sales tax was implemented. So I'm not going to spend time on that. If anybody wants a copy of this that did not get one, you're more than welcome to ask me for one and I'll be able to get it to you. The next slide, it shows participants that we all are pretty much familiar with that are participating in the program, and you can look at that from Amazon, and I'm guilty of them. I use Amazon a lot for a number of reasons, and you know, it talks about your Blue Apron, Wayfair, just a number of well-known businesses that do remit the online sales tax. The next slide, if you would, Mike, and I don't know how clear this is to those of you who are out in the audience, especially the part that's highlighted. It's supposed to be a light orange, but it's really a brown up there based on my glasses. You can see that the SSUT was, collections began in 2016, okay? And in the city of Montgomery, we collected about $40,000. The next year, there was significant growth by the end of the fiscal year 2017, and it showed more than a 2,000% growth rate there to collect almost $1 million compared to the $40,000 that had been collected in the previous year. And with each year, you can see how the amount collected has increased. But then when you get to 9/30 of 2020, that heading there, if you'll see it, it's about a little bit past halfway of that spreadsheet up there. You see that the city collected $7.9 million and some change, which was 108% over the previous year. And as the time passes on, you can see that the percentage is declining there, even though we're getting a few more dollars. And actually, you can see in 2021, we started getting in about $1 million a month compared to back in 2017 when we only got $1 million for the entire year. So, I want you to move on over to the next slide, if you would, Mike. And we can see here what some of the disadvantages are of online sales tax only being 8% compared to your brick and mortar 10%. Based on the collections that the city has received at that 2.4% of a dollar, we have collected about $44.4 million there. If it had been at the 3.5%, you can see that we would have collected $64.8 million, which shows a difference of about $20.4 million that we did not collect because online, 8%, brick and mortar, 10%, which, you know, if you're in business, that kind of puts you at a disadvantage in that, hey, if I can go online, Dillard's, for instance, and shop there, I'm going to only pay 8% tax versus going to brick and mortar where I got to take my time, my gas, and I'm going to have to pay 10%. So that is an inequity there. The next slide, if you would, Mike, you can see here not only for Montgomery, Alabama, but the other 9 cities that make up what we call the big 10 cities in Alabama and what their distributions have been. And so you can take time, compared to Montgomery, compared to Birmingham, Montgomery has had the second highest collections of the 10 big cities from online sales. There's a little bit better chart on the next slide, if you would look at that, showing distribution by city, what has been collected. It doesn't show you what would have been collected had it been a 10% online sales tax like it would at your brick and mortar retailers. So the mayor kind of wanted you all to understand how we are showing that we have revenue loss, because the online sales tax percentage is not the same as the brick and mortar. And that's something they would like to get changed. I even got into trying to find out how they did the calculations for the city to get the amount of money that it does get, and you can't back into it, and you call, you can't get information on that. So he just wants you all to be aware of the disparity there between the brick and mortar retailers compared to online sales.
Betty, is there a legislation at the state capitol?
It's being talked about, but as far as I know, Mr. Hill, there's no legislation, no bill.
No legislation this section on this topic.
Take the state to move on it.
Well, the Big Ten mayors, they have been talking about this, I know, for the last year and a half, because I've been at those Big Ten mayors meetings, and it's something that they want to see more equity.
But they've got to make the state legislature, or
Yes,
ask the state
yes.
legislature to get it done.
Get the governor on board and all
There
of
you go.
that. So
Okay.
it's something for you all to be thinking about.
Our
you know.
lobbyists ought to work on that.
Okay.
And we won't
And
be
the
able to do
chamber.
anything for a year, Mr. President.
Okay. And the
9 days
chamber.
left in the session.
Okay, good deal.
And I got a question, Betty, before you leave. And I noticed, and I'm only asking this question because I heard you use the terminology revenue loss.
Mm-hmm.
So is this chart or this information about revenue loss a way for us to ask for revenue where we have lost it? Because I know at one point we talked about that with some stuff we were trying to do, and we didn't have a projected revenue loss. So is this the way we're going to now say we actually have a revenue loss so that we can qualify
Well,
for
you know,
some
during
revenue?
the pandemic, we were able to show that the city did have revenue loss, because I had to turn those reports in every month. And we were able to get the funding, the original funding of about $9.6 million that we did get to help offset some of the losses that the city had. But I don't think, and this is in my little brain, okay, that the state is going to want to go back and give us funds for what we have lost. This is just trying to ensure that we do get the taxes so that they are equal on both sides, the online versus the brick and mortar.
It's amazing how much it's grown. That's what I didn't realize how much it was grown, which makes our overall sales tax grow also.
Right, but now the online sellers have to collect it, so
Yeah,
that's
they
a
do.
good thing.
Yeah.
You know,
And they-
before
and they
you
sent it
kinda-
into us. That's a good thing.
Right, caught in between a rock and a hard place, where if they didn't have to collect it, then they could say, well, you know, we don't have to provide that to you.
Well, good story. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Chief John Hall. John, you want to talk to us about the Budget Hill Hotel?
I'd like to thank you for allowing me to come and present what's become a problem is a budget hotel located at 5175 Carmichael Road. It's something we've been dealing with every single day, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that. If you can go to the next slide. And I'm going to go through this. I'm going to tell you we did a service of this particular property at 5175 Carmichael Road, and from May 1st of 2022 to May 8th of 2023, we have more than 400 calls at this one location. And that's more than a call a day going out there. This particular slide you're looking at right now is going to be the number of subjects that have been shot over that year, which is 8, and we've had 1 murder out there. And that's at that one location. This isn't spread out to other areas. It's specific to the budget hotel. If you can go to the next slide. This next call is where we respond to where someone's just simply discharging a weapon. This does not include where the discharged weapon is somebody was shot. So during that same time frame, we have went out there. I'm sorry, these are subject where they've been shot 19 times, where they just discharged a weapon. So over that same year period, this does not include the murder, which was done by gun, and it does not include the individuals that were shot. So that's 19 additional times that people have just discharged their weapons at this hotel. Can you go to the next slide? This particular slide shows a number of times in which we've responded to calls where someone's simply carrying a gun. So in these cases, we cannot show that they discharged a weapon, and we cannot show that somebody was shot. So during the same 1 year period, we're looking at someone got called with 31 times where someone carrying a gun around on this property. So in addition to that, if you can go to the next slide, notice a breakdown. We've had additional fights, 2 rapes, 9 thefts, 45 suspicious person calls, and these are additional calls besides the ones that are carrying guns. We've had 4 suicide calls and 162 disturbance calls. All other calls, that's going to be where patrol has to put themselves out there additional times just due to the crowds or stuff that's going on. So again, over a 1 year period, we have over 400 calls going to one location, pulling patrol out of service where they have to respond to these. In addition to this, my Special Operations Division, which makes up of our gangs unit, narcotics unit, and our SWAT unit, has routinely been out there as well. And these next slides are going to simply be a snapshot. This is not what we've gotten, all that we've gotten out of there. This first one you're looking at is going to be where we got some fentanyl as well as some marijuana blunt out of there. And if you go to the next slide, this is another stop where they got fentanyl, they got paraphernalia, and they got a weapon out of there. So if you go on to the next slide. On this one, they got a weapon, they got some scales, additional magazines, and marijuana out of there. And again, this is something that, unfortunately, the Special Operations is out there almost every single day that they work. That's a part of the area they have to go. And if you go to the next slide. On this particular stop, they picked up 3.7 grams of fentanyl, 23.1 grams of marijuana, along with the plastic bags and scales. Again, so this we're getting ready to distribute and sell these narcotics. And if you go to the next slide, this particular person was taken into custody with an H&P handgun with a magazine. And this again would not be one of the previous calls we talked about where the subject was walking around with a gun or somebody shot. These are specific to the specialty units going out there and looking for these kind of things, trying to curb the violence and all that's occurring at this particular location. If you can go to the next slide. On this one, they picked up 18 grams of marijuana, 15.5 grams of Molly, some Xanax pills, along with the weapon and ammunition. And again, the reason is the specialty units going out there, as you can see, nearly every one of these slides are dealing with weapons and narcotics, which is why we have to have the gangs, narcotics, and SWAT respond out to these calls. If you go to the next slide. And then this one, they picked up a black Taurus pistol along with magazines and 6.6 grams of marijuana. And then if you'll go to the last side, and again, these are just notable stuff that our gang unit has gotten. We've had females that have been detained out there in reference to human trafficking. We've had males charged with marijuana, charging trafficking in marijuana along with Molly and Xanax. We've had people charged with attempted to elude. We've had subjects actually charged out there for trafficking in fentanyl and marijuana. And we've had a male charged with controlled substance and forbidden possessed firearm, which means he's been convicted of some type of felony that prevents him from having that firearm. And not only did he have the firearm, but he was in possession of fentanyl and marijuana. So again, all the pictures that were just showed, that's just a snapshot of what we're seeing, along with all those calls that we're seeing every single day. You can see that we're responding out there more than a call a day out there, pulling people out of service. And again, if it's a major call, such as someone shot, someone murdered, someone with a gun, we have multiple units responding for the safety of the citizens in the police department.
Chief, what's it cost us to make a run out there?
That's going to vary from what it costs, but the average that we use per call is going to take probably about an hour, and it's going to run us about $45 per officer, and that's just the officer. And then you're going to add the wear and tear of the vehicles and our equipment on top of that.
Over $100 a trip.
Oh, yes, sir, easy.
Easy. We can't afford these people.
Mr. President.
Yes, sir, Ms.
Ms.
Calhoun.
Blaylock, I would like to set a show cause hearing on this particular business.
Make sure you do it in regular council.
Okay, good deal.
I'm making that-
Thank you for the information. We just can't afford these people.
Yes, sir.
Before you leave, I have a question. We were talking about carrying a gun. Tell me how that works. When you get a call of someone carrying a gun, if an officer go out there and they have a gun walking around with it, what happens with that?
Well, that's changed since the new laws have went into effect, making it much more difficult for us.
Right.
Because they're now allowed to carry them, but we still track those calls, and we're sending an officer out there. A special location like this with someone carrying a gun, we have to send multiple officers to make sure everything is safe. And then we run the normal checks, because just because you're allowed to have a weapon now, there are still certain circumstances, such as if you're convicted of a violent crime stuff, we are not allowed to carry that weapon, and it'd be the same as if you'd be charged with carrying that weapon.
I have, since we're talking about that, I have Family Dollar on Mobile Highway, right across from that Domino's. You know what I'm talking about on
Yes,
Mobile
ma'am.
Highway? The store owner stopped me this past week and said that she made a couple calls because a guy came in with like an assault rifle walking through the store. And she said the officer told him, well, as long as he don't point it at anybody, nothing they could do. And she's just concerned about the safety of the people in the store because there are a lot of seniors and stuff there. And so and I told her she probably should get some signs that say no weapons allowed, because she has the right to do that. Is that right?
That is correct, and if they have those signs that no weapons allowed, then it brings some of the law back into effect where they can be charged. But those signs must be clearly displayed so that they can see them when they're walking in, and that puts some teeth back into it when they're carrying those weapons inside their stores.
Okay, good. Well, I'll make sure she get that done so that MPD can assist her, because at this point, she's just scared. She was like, she didn't want to stand at the door and argue with someone about not bringing a weapon in, and they standing there with a weapon, and she didn't want them to shoot her, of course. And I don't know why you need assault rifle to go and get a bag of chips and come out a store. That doesn't make much sense to me. But
Yes, ma'am.
Chief,
we'll share that information with her.
Chief, while you're standing there, change subjects.
Yes, sir.
The scooters downtown, I understand they become a real problem. And then last night we had a shooting
Yes, sir.
from a scooter.
We don't know for
And
sure
this
if it was
is-
on it.
This is where these things need to go. I mean, I've got Chamber of Commerce here this afternoon saying they need to go. I've got one of the big hotels saying they need to go. They're not helping our city as far as tourism is concerned. So they need to go. You've got, I think you've seen some problems down there late at night too.
Yes, sir. I have personally witnessed where they'll be riding 20 and 30 deep. They're weaving in and out of traffic, riding up on the sidewalks. On major events, we've already pulled them out of the amphitheater so that we don't have the scooters around all that foot traffic. So,
Okay.
and
Mr.
when they're
President.
traveling those speeds with no helmets.
Mr. President,
Yeah, but Mr.
can I have one question, please? Because there's a lot of misinformation. Chief, can you say for sure that those individuals, that shooting was actually on a scooter? Do we know that for sure? Because I don't want misinformation to be going out to the public about it was a bunch of people on scooters doing drive-bys.
The scooter was next to him when the shooting occurred. We do have that on video.
Okay.
So he was not on the scooter.
No, the scooter was next to him.
As we speak about removing the scooters, Robert, is Robert here? Robert, could you come up here real quick?
You through with Chief?
Yes, thank you, Chief. Thank you. Robert, before we talk about removing the scooters or if it's not making an impact, after this council meeting, can you get some data on how much revenue we've received from the scooters? How many people are using them? Just the usage, just pull some data for us since we've released them to today.
Absolutely.
And bring that back to us for a report next council meeting.
Absolutely can do that. I can tell you, I know it's thousands at this point.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Because what I don't want to happen, council, is we remove an attraction or something that we're trying to grow the city and we're trying to move it forward, and every time something happens, we remove it. So we're going backwards.
Right, right.
And so
think we
I
need
just
to-
don't want that to be the thing that, okay, we get this attraction, or we get this location, or we get this, or we do this. It draws some economic impact, and then we don't even have enough time or a data set to say whether it's been successful or not, because it hasn't been 6 months. Has it been 6 months? No, it hasn't.
Yeah, no, it has not. I mean, I can say that we've been monitoring the data on the scooter ridership, and it is extremely high. As
But
a matter of fact, I spoke with.
is it tourists doing it, or is it just kids doing it?
I would say that probably not tourists.
the purpose was
these are
for
probably
tourists.
local.
The purpose was tourism, I thought.
Kids or grown-ups. This is the first time I've heard something about a drive-by shooting on a scooter.
So just so we clear it up, I'm gonna go ahead and repeat what Council Mitchell said. It wasn't on the scooter, so that way we'll do away with any misinformation. It was near a scooter.
It was near a scooter.
It was near a scooter.
I thought I heard him say that it was
He said
on
it
a
was
scooter,
not
and he
on
had
the
it on
scooter.
video. Okay.
Yeah, because I don't want us to give reasons for removing things that we're trying to bring to the city. I
Right.
just don't want that to happen. But if it is a issue and it hasn't caused us any economic impact, then that is something to discuss. Now,
Right.
from this day, being that they were possibly on the scooter, we can look at putting an ordinance together, or what can we do to restrict
Yeah, or
maybe
curb
some
it.
age groups
But
or
if it's
something
not-
like that.
if
Yeah.
it's not
Absolutely. I mean,
helping-
putting an age limit on it. It's supposed to be 18 years of age, and I've gotten at least one call from a mother whose son happened to be 17 years of age, and I told her that the age requirement is 18, and it could be a matter of just more marketing about that to let
Yeah.
parents know that they need to manage their kids, make sure that they are 18.
Or with an adult.
How many
or-
do we
or-
need
or
to
with an
lock up?
adult.
How many kids do we need to lock up before we do something? Okay? Because they're running in and out of, down the sidewalks, they're running in and out of traffic down there, and then a gunfire happened close to one last night and hurt somebody. And when I hear
Right.
that this was about tourism, it's not about a local entertainment
Sure,
venue, it's about tourism.
Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely. It is about tourism.
Right.
But I don't think there's any way that you can
But at
really
11 o'clock at night,
limit,
it's not tourism.
the
And
local.
I think it is a way that you can shut them down, or they can pretty much control it from where they are remotely. But I think another thing this is doing is, which I know we don't look at, is it's also bringing business to downtown
Yeah.
from locals, which we did not have. A lot of local businesses downtown close early because no one is coming.
Yeah.
No one is spending money.
The scooters are extremely popular with local people and
Okay,
tourists.
well,
I mean, I see entire families riding. Actually, the scooter representative will actually be here next week, starting on Sunday. I mean, it could be that we set up a meeting between them and MPD to talk some stuff over and try to see what can be done internally to try to curb some of that, if it's indeed possible to do
Yeah.
that.
The only thing I'm trying to do is, Mr. President, is just if we can come up with some kind of regulations to just regulate it for now to see, so we can have enough data to see what it's doing for us for the city. And if it's not doing what it needs to do, and if we still have issues, then,
Well,
we'll come back to that
I go
discussion.
back to the
Rectify.
bottom line. If it's about tourism, that's one thing. If it's about entertainment, that's another. What I understand is become an entertainment venue, and we didn't create it to be an entertainment venue. We created it to be a tourist
Sure.
issue. So that's my point.
Receive.
Okay. All right. Good. Thank you, Robert. We
Okay.
got other people got to talk. Okay. Ann Sykes.
Good evening, Mr. President and council members. Thanks for the opportunity to speak, and I'll be brief.
Okay.
So I've got two things. None of it has to do with scooters or tourists or kids or whatever, but I think maybe it's also about what our kids can be doing other than on the scooters when they're not old enough. So first of all, you all have packages that represent a package from last summer, and then a sample of one of the new books will be distributed this summer in our MGM Reads program. So the importance of our students continue to read during the summer. The importance of home libraries. Data and research shows the correlation and the importance of that. and also that we can extend support to our students during the summer. We've started during the pandemic in 2020 with MGM Reads, distributing these book packages over 5 weeks, fiction and nonfiction books for every child based on the age. The first few years we were doing 6,000 and 3,000 per year. This year we are distributing 11,000 books, and I'm so pleased and proud of that.
11,000.
That's a huge increase.
Wow.
So these will go home. Students that are participating in Parks and Rec with the county, students that are participating in all the YMCA programs, they will receive these packages for 5 weeks, and I think that's really important. So as we create these libraries, there's a premise that we use that children and books need to be mirrors, windows, and doors, sliding glass doors. Mirrors to see themselves, windows to see others, and sliding glass doors to walk through to other places and experiences. And we base the collection, which is rich, and you're just seeing a sampling, on stories that represent the diverse lives and experiences of our community, so that all children get a chance to see a larger world than they possibly probably see sometimes day to day. So we're very proud of that. But wait, there's more. So our technology. So we talked about scooters. We have something that will distract, I think, most teenagers and certainly our middle schools. You want to fire up?
If I may,
We're going to slide in from the back, but
Oh,
so a little drone
you gonna train them during the summer or something?
that can be controlled,
Yeah.
but there's a lot more to it. So let me just say, you also have in your package information about Starbase, and I'm going to let Mr. Krugel, this is Ben Krugel, who is our Starbase 2.0 instructor, but this summer, we're opening up to every child at the Parks and Recs that participate. And let me just say, working with Mr. Card and his staff, it has been such a pleasure. And we started this last summer as he just came in, but expanding the STEM program. So all the Parks and Rec students will get to go to Starbase, which is our traditional program that serves students at the 4th, 5th grade level, and they'll get a full week camp. But yes, there's more. We also have what's called 2.0. And I'm going to let Mr. Krugel quickly tell you about 2.0, which is for our older kids.
So thank you for letting me demonstrate the drone. The drone is what we take with the 2.0 program to the Parks and Rec and to the YMCA's, where the kids learn about the drones, how they fly, the science behind the flying. They practice flying it. We have obstacle course challenges. They learn the rules and the laws and the ethics of flying drones. And at the end of the course, they take the FAA's drone license exam to get their official drone license. And so it's a kind of an all-encompassing technology and fun program that this year we're also doing a culminating event where the different sites that we go to, YMCA, Parks and Rec, are going to come together to have a drone competition to see who is better able to fly the drones through various obstacle courses and other challenges that we have.
We'll invite you to that competition. I hope you'll come. We hope this may be the start of Montgomery becomes the center of drone competition, whether it be obstacle course or drone soccer teams. There's a whole lot that we can do. And Montgomery is the perfect place to be the center of that, to bring people in from all over the state. And they can be flying drones and not on the scooters if they aren't old enough.
Okay, sounds great.
Ms.
Sounds great.
Sykes,
Yes.
Mr. President, Ms. Sykes, for the sign up for this, is it at the community centers? Will you all be set up there? Is it separate from the?
No, any student that enrolls at the community centers
Okay.
for Parks and Rec will get to come to
Okay.
whichever is appropriate, okay? And any
Right.
student that's in a YMCA program or at Davis or Nixon will get the book packages, as well as the county Parks and Rec. We do go deep there because there's not as much access for a lot of the reading programs during the summer.
Very good, thank you. Yeah,
Thank
that's
y'all
great.
so much.
Exciting.
Thank you.
James Reese here.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to come before you to address a unwarranted charge that I received on an invoice after the raising of a structure that I owned at 562 Union Street. May I approach the council with this information, please?
Yeah, please.
Thank you.
Please. Let's see.
Okay, thank you very much. As you can see on page A1, there was a bid for the raising of 562 Union Street. The winning bid was like $3,500 for 562 Union Street. If you would turn over to sheet A2, that was the authorization of that bid. And turning to page A3 was an invoice by DPI. That invoice, $3,500 for raising the property, as well as assessing a $1,500 cost for the removal of a non-existent well.
You said non-existent.
Non-existent well.
Do you have before photos?
I'm sorry?
Do you have any photos of this property?
I have photos that were sent to me by Brandon Hodges, and I have an email. If you look at page 4, if you notice that I sent an email to Mr. Hodges asking that they come to the property with me to show me this well. And he asked that I contact the contractor. I contacted the contractor, say he contracted through the City of Montgomery. And later, Mr. Hodges sent me an email and just saying that it might have been a sinkhole. It was not a sinkhole. I took what I thought were proper channels to address this. I addressed it first through housing enforcement, and after months of dealing with it, they referred me to legal. And after months of dealing with legal, I didn't get any response. Therefore, I made a request to appear before this council to see if we can get this matter resolved. And I'm here to ask that you take the appropriate steps to refund the $1,500 charge back to me.
Mr. Tate?
Reese.
No, I'm sorry, I was talking to Mr. Tate.
Oh, Mr. Tate.
Who's over Mr. Hodge. Let's see if he can help us out a little bit with this. Mr. Tate, are you familiar with this piece of property and this invoice?
Here's what I'm here to say. I don't have anything to say. We've dealt with this. It's gone through the appeals process, and I know there's a legal component attached to all this, and I'm not here to speak about anything related to this matter.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tate. And what are you asking from the council today, sir?
I'm asking for the return of $1,500 that was unjustly charged me for this well.
And you've already paid the $1,500?
I paid for it.
Okay, and Stacy, this is still in the legal process?
I'm not familiar with it. I just emailed my office to ask if he'd filed a claim.
Okay.
To see if we're looking into it.
Okay.
But
at this moment, sir, that does lie in my district. So at this moment, being that I'm made aware of this, and actually as the council, we don't normally do things of this nature, but let us find out, or let me find out where it is in the process and what Stacy, our city attorney, has on it. And do you have a card or something on you?
Yes, I'll leave my contact information. Of course, now, I've gone through this months and months with legal. I have emails here where I've didn't get responses from legal about my concern. So I would hope that we would make some concerted effort to address this. And of course, I think the gentleman's name is Neely. I have emails here where I've emailed him and him. He did not respond. And so I'm here to receive some type of justice for this misrepresentation.
Yeah, I know for certain that I can't say anything because I have no clue. Just from what you given, that's it. So I can get back with you. I got your info. You don't even have to leave it. I have your info, and I'll contact you or have the city attorney, if it's legal, to contact you and let you know where we would go from this point.
Well, let me make this, but it's very clear here. You see, the invoice was incorrectly invoiced. So what is the legality of this issue? I just need to ask that question.
We don't see. There's no photos here. We
Okay.
just see the emails. So I would have to find out. I couldn't tell you from this point.
So
And I
what
wouldn't make any public statements on something I have no clue about.
So I'm understanding you, Ms. Johnson, say that you're going to contact me,
Between myself or the city attorney's office.
of the legal company. You're going to assure that?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Well, before we move, Mr. Tate, can I ask you a question?
Of course. Oh,
Not
want
you,
that?
not you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
So, Mr. Tate, my question is, I know Mr. Hodge and we had a conversation in the past about, when we have to pay the invoice. So we have to pay out whatever's been abated, whatever that type of stuff. We can't go and get that money back. We get that, right? But we talked about administrative fees or something like that one time. Is it a and I'm just asking, not necessarily pertaining to his case, but just in general. I'm not really sure why his bid process went through the city. I'm quite sure that's something I just don't understand. But when we do that, is there an administrative fee that we charge typically when we do these type of projects? Just in general, if somebody was doing it, is there an administrative fee that we charge?
Let me answer the questions this way. This particular situation went through the city's process. This particular situation came before this council. This council approved the matter, and from there, it removes the situation from your jurisdiction.
I'm just asking, but
I
Mr.
understand.
Tate, you didn't answer my question. Is that I'm not asking about this specific situation. I'm just saying, just so I know, in general, is there an administrative fee assessed to everything when we do it? Do we charge administrative fees? That's a yes, no.
We do charge administrative
Okay.
fees. Yes, ma'am, we do.
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, meeting adjourned.